Alright, and welcome to my parts of speech video. This is going to be an introduction to the various parts of speech. So let's cover the four most basic ones. So first let's talk about nouns. Commonly when we think of nouns, we think of persons, places, or things. And that is a great definition of nouns. However, that is really a subset of nouns. So that's going to be something like what we would call concrete nouns. These are called concrete nouns because these are actual things that you can touch or you can actually experience in reality. These are real things, so they're like concrete. You can stand on them, you can touch them, you can experience them with your senses. Right? So when we think of like a person, like a firefighter for example, you can see a firefighter, right? When you think of places, such as a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, you can smell when you're next to a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, right? And when we think about things like a banana, you can actually taste a banana, right? So these are what make these things concrete. They are able to be experienced by your physical senses. Abstract nouns, on the other hand, are things that are a little bit more different. These are things that cannot be experienced by your senses, but they are things like ideas, right? These are things that you can experience through thoughts. Right? These are also your feelings, right? Like surprise or awe. And they are also your beliefs. Those are all very different ideas that you cannot actually feel. So these are other ideas of nouns that we need to be aware of. A verb, as we know, if we watch the PSAs, verb is what we do, right? Well, that's a special type of verb. That would be what would be called an action verb. It's something you do. And when we normally think of verbs, it's what we think of. So that'd be something like run. Run would be an action verb, as well as jump. Jump is also an action verb, because these are things that you can do. Now there's also state of being verbs. They express existence, right? They help us show our emotions or other feelings. So these are commonly forms of the verb to be, right? And there's also linking or auxiliary verbs, but we're not really going to go into those ones because they basically can be lumped into the state of being verbs. They're not exactly the same thing, so, you know, we're going to get real technical. That'll be that, but we won't need to worry about that. So, nouns and verbs together, there's two basic concepts that we need to know. Nouns answer the question who or what. Okay? So if I ask the question of, you know, who is here, whatever answer that you can give me should be a noun. And if I say, what is on the table, or what are we fighting for, those should all be answers to those answers should all be nouns. A verb answers the question, did what or are what, right? So if you see what somebody does, you can see what they are, what they're doing, that answer should be a verb, right? So whatever the answer is to what did they do, that's a verb. Now then there are what, you know, that will give us that state of being verb, that linking verb, that auxiliary verb right there. But that'll be something a little bit more technical right there. So now let's talk about adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives add to nouns. They add shape, size, quality, and numbers to nouns. And they answer the question of which one, right? So which are we talking about? So you can use any kind of adjective to add to this. Now there's a wide variety of different adjectives. There's a lot of different terms for the different kinds of adjectives, but again, that's beyond the scope of this video right here. We're not going to be necessarily going into that. Adverbs add to verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They add manner, place, time, and frequency, and they answer the question of how, right? So how do you train your dragon? Very carefully. That would be the manner in which that you train your dragon. How do you train your dragon? All the time. That would be a time or frequency kind of answer to the adverbs. So that's the adjectives and adverbs. So those are the four basic parts of speech. There's a few other different things that we can get into, like articles and things like that. But for the purposes of this video, that's what this one's going to be about. Any questions or comments? Please leave them in the below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.